So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on this week's edition of On the Range. If we were on the other channel, it would be the Weekly Roundtable, but we here at the Range Report YouTube channel this week, and maybe for the foreseeable future. We don't know yet. Having some issues with the other channel. This is the first time we were actually able to come to you live on this channel in quite a couple of weeks because YouTube keeps giving me channel strikes because I have the audacity to talk about guns on a channel that talks about guns.
Yeah. Well, we know that according to Google and YouTube, we know for a fact now, we've said this for years. We know for a fact that they have been manipulating the algorithm. They have been not only suppressing channels, they've been outright canceling people, at least for the last 4 years. They blamed it on Biden-Harris, saying that they twisted their arm. So the Democrats actually did what they've blamed Republicans for. They actually destroyed the First Amendment, censored the internet, punished you, me, and our audience, and dozens, hundreds, literally they're saying thousands upon thousands of other YouTube content creators, destroyed their lives, their incomes. So, and now they're still playing these games. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a little bit absurd what they've been doing. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll give you the crux of what happened with my channel so far. I had to go to a range not that long ago, and I had to film a video, but I wasn't filming it for production for YouTube. I was filming it for dissemination to a friend of mine for their gun company. And I did the video exactly as I would do for a regular range review. Talked about the gun, showed all the features, showed you what it does, did all of that. And then I never listed it. I left it as a private video. That I left it so the only people that could have access to the video were people who had the actual web address. Copied the link and I sent it to my buddy. Why? Because the video was so long, I couldn't download it and send it to them through Dropbox.
Right.
So I said, you guys can go on, download the video right from YouTube and edit it the way you want to. Video was there for about a month. And then I get a channel violation. Now, here's the thing. They don't tell you
on a private video
that had one view, other than myself, one view. They don't tell you what the channel violation is. They don't tell you. They tell you breached the terms of the community policy or whatever the hell bullshit it is. And you get a strike on your channel. Then I get hit with another one from the Gun Owners of America. The NRA show. We were at the NRA show. And I stopped by the company formerly known as Polymer 80 and was showing some of the new stuff. Now, I showed some of their raw components on what you would get if you buy something from them. Didn't show how you manufacture it, didn't show any machinery, didn't show any of this, didn't show any of that. Showed the raw pieces that ATF does not consider firearms.
Just a hunk of metal. It's a hunk of metal.
A hunk of metal. Didn't even show the jig that you need to put the metal in to use a tool that I didn't show with bits that I didn't tell you about. And operate machinery that I'm not explaining to you, basically telling you, you have to go to their website and find all this information because I can't show you any of it. And I got a strike on that. Now they tell me one more strike and this channel goes away. Mm-hmm. They're going to delete this channel. Yeah. Now they also, aside from giving me the 2 strikes, prevented me from uploading any video for a month
Yep.
and prevented me from going live for a month. Now, I
Yeah.
very rarely ever go live on this channel. I mean, it's really rare that
Oh,
we
no,
would go live on this channel. We would do the roundtable here every now and then, but that was about it.
No, they like
What?
to punish you. They want you to go out of business. That's what the whole strike system is about. It's, oh no, first one, here's a warning, comply, be silent. If you get 2 strikes, see, we're telling you, we're going to just take it all away from you. It's meant to force you to comply, to obey, and if you don't, well, 3rd strike, you're gone. And they just, mind you, it's your content. That's the thing I always hated about that. It's our content. We created it. We took our time, our blood, our sweat. We put our names on the line. YouTube made money off of it. And then they decided, oh, we don't like you anymore and threw you away. Wait a minute. What about all my content? Don't I get to get it all back? No, they just delete it. Wait a minute, but it's my content, not yours. It's on your platform. Sure. Let me take it off. No. It's just gone. It's evil. Yeah. It's an evil system.
Well, first they also gave me an option that I could go to re-education camp and take their course and their little test about, what I did wrong, what the 53-year-old little boy did that was wrong. I got a slap on the wrist. I got to take their little test. I got to get paddled in the corner. I got to put the little dunce cap on and sit in the corner like a 3-year-old. This is how they treat grown adult people.
Yeah.
Who are filming content. I don't sell guns. I don't sell ammunition. I don't sell anything. I don't ask anybody for money.
It doesn't matter. You're on the list like I am, like many channels are. That is, you're a bad person and you're supposed to obey. This is why, and we saw that under the Biden administration, they didn't get rid of the list. And as much as they're saying, oh, we're going to bring back thousands of people, you got rid of millions or tens of thousands of people. And they're not going to get back their time. They're not going to get back all the money they lost. And I doubt that they held on to every single video for thousands of people with hundreds, if not thousands of hours of video. They're not putting all that back. They're saying, oh, yeah, you can access the channel again. They should have a massive lawsuit on this. I hope they do. And if they do, and it's class action, I'm going to jump in. But this is how this is all about manipulation of you, the audience. They want to manipulate you. They want to control. That's why you're getting so many videos of either cat, you're getting a bunch of cat videos, or you're getting a bunch of videos from ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN. They're pumping the mainstream media message, the approved message, and they're pumping a bunch of distractions, mostly like cat videos, because they don't want you to have a conversation. They don't want you to think about anything else that's happening. They don't want you to vote any way different than they have decided already. This is about control. And it's really sad because you have some great content on the Range Report. You go over some great information. And for people who like firearms, why shouldn't they be able to see you talk about their hobby, their possession, their right? Why not? Oh, because somebody in YouTube doesn't like it? Who cares? If you're the platform, it's none of your business. It's the public.
Well, that was the thing that they were talking about. Is YouTube the publisher or the platform? This was the big debate. What they were trying to talk about was saying how and why YouTube should have control over this, that, and everything else. And listen, I understand there's a rating system. We should all be, cognizant of what our video content contains, that we should be able to moderate our own content and say, okay, is this adult rated? Is it for kids? Is it this or is it that? YouTube has already gotten rid of anything pornographic. They've gotten rid of anything that's NC-17, at least as far as I can tell. There is plenty of cursing. There's plenty of screaming. God knows there's plenty of bloodshed you could find on YouTube. I'm showing a video. saying, here's a firearm from such and such company. This is the caliber. These are the features. I'm going to shoot it a little bit, and I'm going to give you my initial impression, and then I'm going to do a follow-up video 500 rounds later or 1,000 rounds later and give you a long-term update on what the gun does, how it performs, and what its reliability is. I don't blow shit up on my channel, okay? I don't do the Tannerite thing. I don't do the stupid stunts. I'm not blowing cars up. I'm not blowing up all kinds of crap on the channel. I don't do anything dangerous on the channel. Everything that I do is in a controlled atmosphere. I'm usually the only person at the range at the time that the film is being done, except there's probably one person off camera that you don't see in the unlikely event that, God forbid, I should happen to get hurt, a malfunction, something goes wrong, I have a heart attack, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's always somebody there that you don't necessarily see. But as far as the on-camera work, it's usually 99% it's myself. Now, if I'm at an event and I'm interviewing people, naturally there's going to be people there. And what events do I go to? I go to gun events. I go to events where there's guns. And you know what happens that when you go to one of these events that has guns in it, you look around and you say, oh my God, there's tens of thousands of guns around here. There's thousands of people. How come nothing ever happens at one of these gun shows? You want to know why nothing happens at any of these gun shows?
There's just thousands of people with guns.
No, it's even more simple than that. Number one, if you go to the NRA show or the GOA show, odds are a good majority of the people that are on that show floor are packing heat, okay, because it's open to the public.
Of course.
Okay. These are shows that are open to the public, and the Second Amendment is embraced by our community.
Yeah.
Pulling a gun out at one of these events would be the stupidest thing you could possibly do. Stupidest thing you could possibly do. Now, as far as an event like SHOT Show is for the industry. We go to SHOT Show, and we bring the news from the industry to the public that cannot get to the show. But every single one of these events, regardless of what it is, unless it's a live range event like Industry Day at the Range, which takes place before SHOT Show, or if it's the GOA Range Day, which is the day before the event takes place, these are only open to invite only. These are guests who are coming in that have all been vetted. Myself, I get invited. I've been vetted. They know I'm not a lunatic who's going to come there to try to hurt nobody. They're not open to the public. But when you go to the show, you'll see somebody pick up a gun and hold it up to the camera. Ooh, look at the gun. Ooh, it does. Ooh. You'll always see a little yellow tag or a little red tag that's hanging off the trigger guard.
Yeah.
Every one of the guns at the shows have had the firing pins removed, or have had the bolt carrier group removed.
Yeah.
Or they're doing something to render the gun completely inoperable. No matter what you do to that gun, it's not going to fire. So when I'm at one of these shows and I'm showing you a gun, I may have to take it. You know, I purposely don't flag anybody when I'm at one of these shows. I'm aiming at the ceiling. I'm aiming at the floor. I'm doing this when I show it to the camera. The muzzle is still pointed in a safe direction. And 95% of us do the same thing when we're at these shows. We're treating the gun as if it's a live, loaded firearm. We're still being very respectful of the firearm. Mm-hmm. YouTube knows that this is the practice. YouTube knows that we are not handling live firearms. But yet they'll come out and they will tell us that we're doing something dangerous. Now, I had one, Matador Arms. Matador Arms comes out with an AR-15 bullpup. And I go and I do the little video, and I really like the bullpup. That was really one thing about bullpups is the triggers always suck on bullpups because it's a link connection. All right, it's not a direct trigger. It's a bullpup is the trigger is here, but you're actually squeezing the trigger at a different part of the gun. And because there's a linked connection, it's not straight out. It's not as crisp. Matador figured out a way how to make an excellent trigger in one of these things. And I showed the gun, explained the gun, showed how the trigger worked. They flagged that video.
Okay.
They gave me a channel strike on that video.
Of course.
For absolutely no reason.
I get it, but their excuse is, and again, it's because they don't like the Second Amendment and they don't like people who exercise their Second Amendment rights. They have a political partisan agenda, but they're going to say, well, it's because we don't want someone to do like what happened at ABC 10 this week or over at Dallas today. Some crazy individual will see that and now they'll go out and shoot someone. No, that's not how it works. And on top of which, most of the people, 99.994% of the people who are gun owners in America and who are invested in this, in owning a gun and exercising their rights and practicing, learning about the firearms, they're not the problem. And the people like the guy at ABC News, let's see, he was a leftist who was angry with Disney because Jimmy Kimmel was removed for a week because of what Jimmy Kimmel said, which violated FCC regulations. And that means he has to go shoot somebody. That's just stupid. It's mind-boggling. And we had the guy today who went in and was shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas. Was it because he saw a video and somebody said, hey, this is a really nice rifle, or it has a great trigger, or there's a nice scope on it? No, he did it because he doesn't like ICE, because he disagrees with the Trump administration's enforcement of existing immigration law. So he decided to take a couple of pot shots, and obviously this guy didn't know what he was doing because he wound up hitting the illegal aliens when he was aiming at the ICE agents, which may be why he ended himself. But that's got nothing to do with the Second Amendment. It's got nothing to do with someone who wants to collect or use or be more understanding of their firearms. That's political violence motivated by people like Gavin Newsom, who last night on Colbert said that, and I think this is directly related. I think what happened in Dallas is directly because of Gavin Newsom and Stephen Colbert. Gavin Newsom said, he wants to run in 2028 for the president of the United States. Fair and fine. He can do that. I think he'll lose. I think he's a horrible candidate. But he said, but I don't think I will be able to, because Trump and MAGA are going to end all elections and I won't have the chance. So he's now egging on these lunatics that have been indoctrinated through the system and believe anyone who's right of Stalin is somehow some kind of alt-right maniac, and therefore he has to go get a firearm, use it against ICE agents and illegal aliens, and then we have someone who's dead. That's political violence. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. It has nothing to do with proper firearm ownership or usage. That is a bad operator. That's a human being that is an evil, vile, demonic piece of crap. It has nothing to do with the tool. Sorry, I went on a little bit of
brother, you're 100% right. And the thing is, it's like, all of this policing of speech. There is such a tremendous difference between people who are out there and celebrating bad things, promoting bad things, and inciting bad things. And then there's a big difference between those who are reporting on bad things. Mm-hmm. That talk about bad things, that say bad things. And in our case, how to prevent bad things and what you need to do to bolster yourself so that bad things don't happen to you. Yeah. And that you can prevent bad things from happening to other people. And yet we are the ones that get shut down.
Yeah, but It's like the kid in Indianapolis who was in the mall and he had a firearm. Some mass shooter tried to start shooting at people. He took the guy out with one shot. Or more recently, something most people remember. Remember, it was a month and a half ago. Derek Perry, a name that the news media tried to eliminate, and you're not supposed to remember. Black former Marine who, black Marine who had his own. He has concealed carry. And at the Walmart, there's this crazed guy with a machete trying to attack people. And that Marine, Daniel Perry, comes out with his firearm and holds that man down, subdues him until the police can come. He saved lives, but they don't want to talk about that.
No,
No.
And then,
Good.
and then the situation you were referring to, the gentleman's name was Elijah Dickin.
Yes.
Now, Elijah Dickin made the supreme mistake of carrying his firearm, even though he saved lives by taking out a wannabe mass shooter. Mm-hmm. Well, there was some ambiguity as to whether or not the mall was allowing people to carry a gun there. So there were people
who saved lives. Who cares?
But there were people that are over there trying to prosecute him by saying Elijah Dickin should never have had a gun in the first place. In it. Well, neither did the other guy.
Neither the other guy. The other guy would have killed how many people before someone got to him?
Yeah, and probably Elijah Dickin would have probably been among one of them, because if you have somebody who's willing and able to engage a threat with their own firearm, is probably the same character of a person that would go unarmed and rush an assailant and try to disarm that person. So Elijah Dickin probably would have been one of the victims had this guy not been taken out by Elijah Dickin. But the fact that people wanted to try and prosecute this guy, I mean, why are you trying to castrate the good people in favor of the bad? And then, you know, I didn't think I was going to get into it tonight because I didn't see the clip yet. I only saw a partial reading of it.
Which one?
Kash Patel asked something about in the hearing today about whether or not, well, yesterday or today, whether or not if we ban assault rifles, if it would decrease the number of mass shootings in the country.
I know what the answer is to that because, by the way, folks, we didn't introduce. Obviously, Frank and I know each other for many, many years. But for those who don't know, and if you're not familiar with the Wednesday Roundtable or No Sound Bites Allowed, I'm a political commentator. Been doing it for 20 years now, as Frank well knows. So I follow politics every day for 20 years, 12 hours a day. And I'm pretty familiar with most of the things. So when it comes to something like, there's actually data. We know for a fact that about 2% of all mass shootings since 1980, only 2% of all mass shootings, whether at a school or anywhere else, are with a quote unquote assault weapon, or in other words, a rifle, high powered rifle. Only 2%. 2%. So if you were to, even if you had the gun ban, even if you stopped everyone from owning a so-called assault rifle, it would have virtually zero impact on mass shootings. It doesn't matter. So we have the data. We know what the true answer is. It's useless. It is another useless thing. Just like the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, just like the Dallas shooting today. Guess what? Those weren't assaults. They weren't assault weapons. The gun control laws didn't stop any of these mass shooters, didn't stop red flag laws, didn't stop them. Gun control didn't save anyone's life. And this wasn't an assault weapon. The problem isn't the firearm or the tool. It is the operator. It is the person. It is a demented demon who is either criminal or criminally insane. They're the problem. That's why you have people like Dwayne Brooks, which most people may have forgotten, was driving his vehicle, his pickup truck, through a parade of people. 60 people were hit by his truck. He didn't need a rifle. He did the same thing. You've seen that with vehicles in New York, in Las Vegas, across the country, where people have used their vehicles as a weapon, where people
Well,
have used knives, they've used
well, they had that guy. What was that guy in Amsterdam or Switzerland or Sweden or some one of them Balkan type countries a couple of years ago? What, he killed like 27 kids at a school with a knife?
that was, if I remember correctly, it was in
Norway.
I believe it was in Amsterdam. Yes, it was a knife. It happens often in Southeast Asia, and it's happened here in the United States.
Oh, it happens. It happens in China all the time, but you never hear about it because of the nature of the government. I'm sure it happens in a lot of other countries where we don't have the 24-hour media cycle. We don't have people standing there with that. Instead of, oh my God, look, there's a little fire starting. Maybe I should put it down, put it out, with this fire extinguisher here. They go, oh no, there's a little fire starting. Let me get my friggin' phone so I can wait till it engulfs the neighborhood and get it on film. This is, it happens. These things happen all the time. The only reason that we are more privy to the knowledge about it now is because technology has advanced so far to the point where people are walking around with cameras in their glasses, and you see everything 24 hours a day. You can't walk outside your house and fart without somebody in government knowing about it, because there's a street light camera, this camera, that camera. There's something going on everywhere. Everybody knows everything, except in these second and third world countries where they don't have the technology as proliferated as it is here. Imagine what we would know if there were cameras down there too. But the fact of the matter is, murderers are going to murder regardless of what tool they use. And there are dozens and dozens of examples that we can cite. I mean, one of the worst mass killings in American history having to do with a school.
Oh, yeah.
Was in the early 1900s when, of all people, a female went into the school and detonated explosives, killing 40 some odd kids.
School, it was, I believe it was 1917. It's still the deadliest school event, massacre at a school. It was about 1917, as I recall. It was the principal of the school did it with explosives. 47 children were killed.
Yeah, something like now this is gonna I know at some point those idiots from the young Turkish, whatever the hell it is, will take this out of context. Yeah. So I want you to understand this context in which I'm going to speak. If you are to look at what you would consider a device of massive, a weapon of mass destruction, okay, a firearm. Oh, excuse me, a bomb, an incendiary device, this, that, whatever it is. And then you look at a rifle. And I don't ever call them assault rifles, because assault is a function, not what they do. The person is assaulting people. The rifle is just an inanimate object. You can do so much more with a homemade weapon of mass destruction than you can with a firearm, unless you have an extremely captive audience. And by captive audience, I mean something like the Pulse nightclub down in Florida, when all of those people were murdered because the police allowed the gunman to stay on a killing spree for an hour and 45 minutes before breaching the friggin' building.
Kind of like
all of those people, right? All of those people sat there while the guy was on the telephone with the police, killed all of these innocent people. An hour and 45 minutes before the police decided to breach the gun, which also happens to have been a gun-free zone. And the one bouncer who was working at the club that night was a off-duty Miami Metro-Dade police officer who was not allowed to carry his firearm on duty.
And could have
stopped it all at once. Now you're talking about it took an hour and 45 minutes. How many people were killed at Pulse? Like 30 some odd, 40 some odd people.
Well, I thought it was 30.
It was a horrific number. It was a horrific number. Let's go back to New York City in the 1970s and the Happy Land murders, where somebody torched a gay nightclub. Where they kill 85 people?
Yeah.
Not a single shot was fired.
No,
not a single shot was fired. All right, so let's go and say, okay, let's ban assault rifles. And then when you have some murderous lech who does not know how to, who would under any other normal circumstance not be very well trained, not be very well accustomed, gets himself or herself a firearm, and commits one of these acts of atrocity. 90% of the time, they're stopped in the commission of it by the arrival of a second firearm, right?
Good guy with a gun, the mythical
Right.
good guy with a gun, which
Right.
isn't a myth.
That we know is true.
Obama knew it was true.
What happens? What happens when they don't have the guns and they go back to making bombs? And instead of having a school shooting as tragic as it is with 10, 20, 30 victims, you wind up having somebody drop a whole wing of a school on 300 or 400 kids.
Well,
or worse. Now I'm not equivocating, and I'm not saying, oh, thank God we have guns because they can only use it to kill a number of people. That's not what I'm saying. I know that people would look to take that out of context. What I'm trying to do is put it into things that people relate to. If people are going to do something, people are going to do something evil. It doesn't matter what tool they use. They're going to do something evil regardless of it. However, you're not going to ban gasoline. You're not going to ban anything else that is used as a component in an explosive. You're not going to ban all these things because you can make explosives out of 100 different household chemicals. So if you're not going to ban all of those things, you're still leaving those evil people with those tools. But if you ban firearms, you know what you do? You prevent people like me or people like Mike or people like Stephen Williford or Elijah Dickin or the whole host of other names that we can run down the list that would have access to those firearms that would be able to put the bad guy down. So if you're going to ban something, figure out which is going to be the least destructive. Because I guarantee you, if you ban guns, the number of murders in this country is going to go up. Because you're not going to have the estimated 500,000 to 2.1 million people a year that stop a crime in its tracks because they are in possession of a firearm. So when you're going to take those tools away, expect there to be an additional 500,000 to 2.1 million violent crimes being perpetrated in the United States every single year. Because that's the number of people that are stopped by gun owners in America.
It's actually it's a little bit higher. According to the 2013 study under the Obama White House, this is almost never cited by the mainstream news media. They know this exists. They know that the data is there, but it doesn't fit their narrative, so they don't talk about it. But the White House under President Obama in 2013 did a study to find out is a good guy with a gun real? Gun ownership, does it save lives? They actually tried to answer the question because they always like to make that ambiguous. And what that study by the White House found was that between 500 and 3 million, they actually, and there's two ways they counted the number. So it's either 500,000 or it's 3 million people are saved every year in America because of gun ownership, of some firearm ownership. And the media will not talk about this Obama administration study because they know it destroys the argument about having gun bans or trying to restrict people. They don't want to think about it. They don't want for the women in the audience. Most women are at least 6 inches shorter and about 50 to 75 pounds lighter than their male counterpart. Regardless of which age it is or where you are in America, that's the average difference. Men can be at least 6 inches taller, about 50, 75, sometimes 100 pounds heavier. That's a massive advantage for the man. What equalizes that? Gun ownership for the woman. And in state after state, you're talking about California, Illinois, New York, many of the bluest of the blue states, They harm women actively by not allowing them to be able to defend themselves the most effective way possible. There is no 5 foot, I'm 5'10". There is no 5 foot woman, no 5'1", 5'2", even a woman at 5'6" is unlikely to fight me off. I'm old. Okay. I'm 57 and I'm out of shape. I am still heavier and probably heavier and probably stronger than, unless the woman's very fit and works out a lot, most women are not going to be as strong, or as they're going to have a disadvantage in fighting me.
You sexist.
It's just the truth. And what equalizes that? A firearm. And what do women not get in New York State and in California and Illinois and in Maryland and in Washington? Oh, the ability to equalize it. And they're supposed to, and they say, don't worry, you're safe now. I would love to see the comments, either live or after the show, hearing from women telling me, do you feel more safe with a firearm able to defend yourself, or waiting for a police officer to eventually show up to the scene of whatever crime is happening involving you and hoping they get there in time to save your life? Because I can pretty much tell you which one I think the answer would be.
Well, listen, I can tell you from the experience here in the house. All right, Lori is extremely pro 2A. Well, she would have to be. I mean, this is me here, right? Mm-hmm. She's gotten to the point now where she truly, she doesn't enjoy shooting like I do. All right, I enjoy shooting as not only as a recreation, but as a leisure activity and as a way to blow off stress. All right, I like the marksmanship aspect of it. I like to shoot slow. I like to shoot fast. I like to shoot steel. I like to shoot wood. I like to shoot paper. I like to shoot whatever. I don't shoot animals. I don't shoot people. Unless something's trying to hurt me, I have no reason to dispatch with it. It's not what I do, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy the shooting. I love shooting. I love recoil. The more recoil, the better. I love the smell of the gunpowder. I love the sulfur. I love the sound. I love everything about it. Lori shoots out of necessity. She shoots enough so that she can become proficient, so that if in the event that she has to ever use her firearm to save herself or myself or somebody else, she's going to get the job done, and she's going to get it done right. She would prefer not to have that responsibility. She would prefer to live in a world where people don't need to think about the absolute worst of humanity and prepare for it. But she understands fully that people are evil. And there is a lot of evil people out there. So she is now extremely proactive with her carrying. She makes sure she's always within reasonable distance of having a firearm next to her. Mm-hmm. And she shoots and she's damn good at it. She's damn good. I wish she would shoot more, because I think that would be an activity we could both enjoy together, but it's just not in her to do that. She's not as passionate about it as a sport, but she's just as passionate about it as a means of defense. And she understands it. And she thank God, is of that mind. But these people that are so hell-bent on disarming people, the first people they look to disarm are the most vulnerable amongst us.
Yeah. Well, they want people in fear, because the answer is, if you're afraid and you can't, and you've been removed, the ability for you to defend yourself has been removed from you, well, you're going to scream out to who? Government, and say, do something, help me. And you've got one side of the government that says, oh, we're the only ones who are going to help you. We're the ones, mind you, they're also the ones that took away your ability to defend yourself. But we're going to, and they're also the side that said, hey, we can release this guy 14 times until he finally murders somebody. They're the same party that's revolving door. They call it bail reform, releasing these criminals back onto the streets, endangering more people, are the same people saying, well, call us when you can't defend yourself, so we'll defend you. You just got to give up a little bit of your personal freedom, and you have to reelect me, and you have to donate to me, and then you'll be safe. And you're not. And then they'll blame it on someone and anyone else and say, you didn't vote hard enough. Give me more money, give me more votes, and give me more of your freedom. And next time I'll make sure you're safe. This is a slave contract.
And
That's
then
what the Democrats are doing.
And then I see these moron celebritards that are out there, and it's always the self-proclaimed tough guy, the Mickey Rourkes of the world, and this one and that one, all of these ones that they all have that. Yeah, they have that reputation of being the Hollywood bad boy, and they're a tough guy, and that's their persona and everything. And they're like, well, only somebody who doesn't know how to fight would need a gun.
Okay, that's just stupid.
What?
First of all,
what kind of
bad boys of modern Hollywood would be beat down in a heartbeat by say
please, Charles Bronson could kick the living shit out of everybody in Hollywood right now at the same time.
Absolutely, he would have, and so would a younger
Clint Eastwood. But it's this mentality. Right. It's this mentality of these people. Oh, you only need a gun because you can't fight. Well, listen, why do I have to fight?
No,
why do I have to allow myself to be subjected to an attack and have to defend myself physically from 1, 2, 3, 4? And if you look at the media these days, you see it's no longer one-on-one fights out there in the street. It's 8, 9, and 10 people curb stomping one poor bastard in the head over and over again until he's dead.
Well, yeah.
Why do I need to risk my physical well-being and getting into fisticuffs with somebody who's obviously looking to hurt me severely? But then I say to myself, well, let's go a little further. When my mother used to be a waitress in New York and used to have to take the bus home at night on a Thursday night at 12:30 at night, my mother, 5'4", my little tubby little round mom, who was as tough as friggin' nails. I'm going to expect her to get into a fist fight with the guy who's trying to steal her purse and defend herself?
No.
What? I'm somebody like me. Now, for the people who don't know, I'm about 6'2", 6'3". I'm rolling around at about 290 pounds. All right. I am not a small guy. All right. Sure. I am probably physically stronger than a majority of people that I know. As far as my ability to pick things up and put things down and break things. I can be as many physical ailments as I have, I can be extremely physically destructive if I needed to be. Okay.
Sure.
You mean how many people out there? If I decided tomorrow if I wanted to have my way with somebody and hurt them, I'm pretty sure I would hurt them. I would hurt them very, very badly.
Absolutely. Okay. But remember, first of all, we got to put it in context. The same Hollywood people, even the politicians that are saying, oh, you don't need a firearm to protect yourself, and don't worry, we'll be there to protect you, or you can just fight them off. They also have paid security who are armed. Zoran Mandami is running around New York City talking about he wants to defund the police, and he doesn't agree with the Second Amendment. Well, Zoran Mandami is, as he's out campaigning right now, he has a plainclothes security detail that are all armed surrounding him everywhere he goes. If you're talking about Cori Bush, she hired an entire team that was paid for by taxpayers. AOC has bodyguards paid for by taxpayers. If you're talking about Gavin Newsom, he has bodyguards paid for by taxpayers. If you want to go into Hollywood, they all have bodyguards and they're all armed. So, they're dishonest in
Yeah,
their
and the funny thing is,
description of these things.
and not only are they, if you look at the California firearm registry and you see what guns are allowed and what guns aren't, and then you find out what guns are being carried by the people that are protecting your favorite celebrity, how are they doing? They all have guns that are not on the registry, but somehow they get a pass for it. And you know who else has got who's got a 125 man security team? That pointy-headed mayor of Chicago. Why is his hair like that?
Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, why does he put his hair like a point? For those of you who remember the TV show Land of the Lost back from the 70s, there were these characters on there called
Sleestacks. Yeah.
Yeah, there were these lizard people that had like pointy head. Yeah. Brandon Johnson looks like a friggin' Sleestack. He's got this stupid little patch of hair on his head that comes up to a friggin' point. Did anybody tell this guy out of the 63 people that do his hair and makeup that's not a good look?
Really?
Unless his head is just shaped that way.
Yeah, you always love to pick on. Yeah, there's a bunch of them that are very stupid and funny looking. Trust me, Brandon Johnson looks 10,000 times better than Lori Lightfoot, who he replaced. But he is despised. Lori Lightfoot, as much as she looked very odd.
Listen, you said her name twice. If you say her name a third time, she shows up.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, I won't. But she at least had 20% approval. He has 8% approval rating in Chicago.
He's going to get reelected.
Not necessarily. There may be another Democrat. I know a couple of content creators in Chicago on the left, and maybe they don't seem to think he's going to be reelected. He's a one-timer, but that doesn't mean they're going to get anyone better. They're going to get someone that's either as bad or somewhere between his predecessor and him. That's their choice, which is piss poor. But that's the political scuttlebutt amongst the politicos and the pundits in the background, folks. So we'll see if that's true. But they all have security. They all have guns. So they're lying to the public. It's such a deception. It is such a class difference. They do what I say, not what I do. They get to have the protection of firearms. You don't. That is dishonest, and it is dangerous. It hurts people. And again, I come back to, and they want to say, but don't you understand? Charlie Kirk died because of a gun. He didn't. He died because of a crazed maniac who was encouraged by leftist ideology. That's who killed Charlie Kirk. It wasn't the firearm. Yes, I know the Sleestack. I know what they look like.
Well, I wanted to refresh the audience's memory. If you've ever known what a Sleestack is, that's what a Sleestack is.
Refresh their memory. They've never seen that before. We're talking about the internet. Almost nobody knows what that is. They weren't alive. But you should put a picture of Brandon Johnson up so people can see the difference between the two. But anyway. But, we're in a very unique environment, and there are so many lies going on right now. And all of the lies are there just for one reason, and that is to give a partisan ideology power over you, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And what he's doing right now, folks, is he's actually looking for a picture of Brandon Johnson so he could put.
There you go.
See, I knew you would.
I knew what is that? What is that?
It's a hairstyle.
What hairstyle? What is that?
I've seen lots of people with stuff like that. It's not a big deal.
Oh, for God's sake!
It's not a big deal.
It's just I don't know. I don't know.
It's like things that Brandon Johnson in Chicago is doing wrong. His hairstyle is the least of the problems.
I know. Listen, I don't care about that. But what I care about is the fact that he was spending like $100,000 on his stylists of campaign cash that was donated. You know, it was supposed to be spent on the campaign. He was spending on his barbers and his beautician and the guy who paints his beard on and all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah, but that's all the politicians do that. I will not denounce his hairstylist, taxpayer good. You know, it's a freebie. It shouldn't be allowed. And in fact, if you look at the actual election laws, it's not allowed. But
well,
the politicians do it. That's the
well, you
least
see,
arguments.
Well, listen, I just make fun of people on every count that I can.
Yes, I know you.
It's do. Not. I don't care. I have no filter. Now, believe me, there's plenty. There is plenty for people to pick on about me. Believe me, I understand. I have my own checklist that I go through every morning, and I go, oh, okay, getting older, yeah, okay, get this, still fat, yep, get yeah. I understand. I understand. I don't care. I don't make no
actually get filled in, folks. He just has the checklist.
Right. I just verify that yes, still the same condition I was yesterday. Okay. But all right, it's going to take me a long time to get thin again. Okay? It's going to take a long time to get thin. It'll take about 30 seconds for Brandon Johnson to get a proper haircut.
Yeah, but I don't care.
Well, like I said, if these are things we can change, that's something he should. At least maybe people might start taking him seriously.
No, they won't take him seriously. He's just a lie.
Well, he's a friggin' idiot. The guy turns around and he says that prisons and police department are part of the sickness that creates crime.
Well, yeah, that's the leftist ideology. You hear the same thing from Zoran Mandami. He believes in the revolving door.
Listen, let me tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mandami don't believe in any of that shit.
Yeah, he does. He does.
No, he doesn't. No,
I don't. Talk to people who've interviewed him and have followed him. He's a believer.
I know.
He is a believer.
No, he don't believe in any of that. He does not believe in any of that. He's using all of that as a vehicle to win the mayoral race. He's a Trojan horse. This guy.
No, he's not.
Yes, he knows. Listen, they've read the tea leaves. They know that New York has been so overwhelmed with leftist thinking that they know that the people did not like the current mayor. There was a lot. All right. He is. Do you really think? And I want you to really think about that. Do you think he cares about the trans community?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You don't think that he would much rather see them all lined up in Battery Park and stoned to death?
No, that's not his priority. No.
His priority is to get their vote. His priority is to get their vote. He's trying. Look, he's using his.
I understand what you're saying, but hear me out. Okay, in New York, I know what the internal polling that has been being done. I know what the results are. I know how big a lead he has. I know people who have talked with him directly and or interviewed him over years. He is a socialist. He is hardcore socialist. He is a believer. He actually believes the crap that he's saying. He's not just doing it for performance. If you're talking about Eric Adams, he's a performer. He'll do whatever it takes to win. If you're talking about Andrew Cuomo or Kathy Hochul, they're performers. They will do whatever it takes to maintain power. Absolutely. Even AOC. She started off as a believer and she became a performer because she wants power and she wants money and she doesn't care what she has to do it. And she sold out people. Same thing with Bernie Sanders. Started as a believer, sold out, now a multimillionaire with 3 homes. He doesn't care. So will Zoran Mandami become a sellout? Maybe. By that time, New York's going to be crushed. And it's already going to be a problem that we're already going to be dealing with. But today, right this second, he's a believer. He actually believes that even though his idea about the grocery stores failed in Kansas City. Even though his idea that he's stealing from Kansas City about the free buses already failed, he thinks these things are going to actually work this time in New York, because he's going to do what Democrats and progressives always do: throw more money at the problem and give it more time. Nothing ever fails for the left. They just need more of your money, and they need more of your time, and it will eventually work.
Now, let me ask you a question. If what you think is true, and he is a true believer, dyed in the wool, full blown, sucking at the teat of Karl Marx communist, all right?
Yeah.
He's going to destroy New York City, right? And probably take a good part of New York State with him.
No. But
you got to remember how much. Well, when New York City falls, New York State's going to have to be there to pick up the bill.
Oh yeah,
to try and bail them out.
Monetary, yeah.
So he's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's going to be horrific. It's going to be horrific. And when he institutes all of his policies, it's going to be a shit show of destruction in New York City. Okay. Yes. The wealthiest of the wealthy are going to leave.
Yes.
Markets are going to crash. You're going to have all of your local. Now the city owns your grocery store are all going to wind up closed down. It's going to be a food desert. Private industry is not going to come into New York to open up another Walgreens or a Pathmark or a Super. They're not going to open up any of that shit. It's not going to happen. Okay.
Right.
He knows this.
No, he doesn't.
Listen,
he does not believe.
Listen. I let you go. I let you go without agreeing with you. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you my theory.
Okay.
The guy is doing exactly. He's very educated in the communist way of thinking, and he's using Saul Alinsky's book to the T. That he's dressed up, not as the radical, but as the. Because what is it? To remove the radical clothes and dress in the contemporary. Okay, this guy is doing exactly what the jihadists want done: to destroy New York City at whatever cost. And I think in my heart of hearts that this guy is just going to use all of the communist and socialist rhetoric he possibly can to make as many promises as he possibly can, to get as many votes as he possibly can, so he can fast track the destruction of New York, the second greatest city in the entire United States. And you're going to see in New York exactly what you have in Dearborn, Michigan, in about 7 or 8 months after you've got your election and this guy takes place. You're going to see that black flag come walking right up Wall Street with a bunch of Palestinian sympathizers running around behind it, and you're going to see exactly what you have in Dearborn, Michigan.
That's already happening.
Right, no, but not to the degree that it is now, where you've got that other mayor telling people that were born and raised in that city, they're no longer welcome there because now it's a Muslim city. Now it's an Islamic city. He's going to hold a parade when the Christians leave that city because it's no longer for them. Mondami is using the willful idiots of New York City who think they're going to get a freebie to gain a foothold into power so he could usher in the destruction of New York City to take over exactly where they left off on September 11th. That's what he's there for. The guy is a Trojan horse.
The only thing I disagree with is that last part. Will he achieve? Sorry, will he achieve that destruction?
The hell did you eat?
But not. It's not because of his religious beliefs. It's not because of
his
ideology.
He's a strong supporter of Sharia. He's a strong supporter of Sharia. He's already come out and said. He wants intifada worldwide, which is the destruction.
He didn't announce it. He didn't say he. I don't doubt that he does want it, but to be fair and to be clear, he didn't say that. He just didn't denounce it. That's a difference.
Well, no, it's not. It's not a difference. It's not a difference. You're either on the side of right or you're on the side of wrong. You can't say that you're going to not take a side in that fight. And the fact of the matter is, this guy is doing. Look, he knows damn well he's not going to win any votes of any of the fence sitters if he tries to play middle of the road, or he lets his hand get exposed. He's got to try and make himself out to be a populist. He's the anti-Donald Trump. Everybody's going to have everything for free. It's going to be, wonderful, and everybody's going to get cheap food, and nobody's going to go to jail anymore, and the cops are going to their job is just going to be to help little old ladies cross the street, and there won't be this and there won't be that. The guy is looking to destroy not only the city, but he's looking to destroy a lot more than that. And he's using the one message that he can in New York City that'll get him elected, and that's socialism. Because New York has gone so far off the friggin' deep end, they're San Francisco version 2.
I understand why you say that, but again, I can only tell you the information I have at hand, which includes inside information not available to the public, which also limits exactly what I can say about that. But what I can say is all of the data and evidence that I have available to me tell me, yes, the consequence of his actions will be the destruction of New York City, and therefore it will harm New York State. But the purpose of that is because of socialism, which coincides and works side by side with his more extreme Islamic faith. And his faith, based on his own statements in the past, is more radical, is a more extreme, hardcore form of Islam than many other people. But that works hand in hand with socialism because both of them are pretty much more authoritarian versions of government.
Right, but
he's fine with that.
But like you said, he's already expressed a more extreme version of Islam than many of his contemporaries would. Yes, so that's why I say. Now, what do you think is more likely? That he loves the gay and lesbian community so much that he's going to welcome them open arms into Gracie Mansion for a friggin' dinner? Or do you think he's just using them for the vote because they're going to vote for the guy who they think is gonna paint rainbows in the crosswalks?
A bit of both.
He don't give a damn about the gay and lesbian community. He doesn't give a damn about any other community in that thing. He's using them all. Look, they're all cannon fodder. All they are is useful idiots, and they're useful for him getting elected.
Okay, again, Frank, you know me. I don't speculate. I'm more analytical, and I'm more based on empirical data. And you extrapolate.
And I work on instinct. I work on instinct and history.
Absolutely. And so and that's why we're coming to slightly the main thrust we both agree with. It's the and part of the consequences that we disagree with. We're not necessarily disagreeing all the way, but just for, again, this is your new audience watching us. They may not have seen any of our interactions before. We just had, that's the thing that's a little bit different between the two of us. But then again, that's part of the reason why we do, I think people like when we're on a panel together, because we're not 100% on the same viewpoint, although we have a lot of similarities. It's how we get there is very different.
Well, all I can say for you is, for the people who doubt who doubt my position or think maybe one way or the other, I want you. I will spell this out on the screen, and you can look it up yourself. I'll post that, and then I want you to look up that word and see what it means.
I don't know that word.
That's why I want you to look it up when you get a chance. Anybody who wants to look it up, Can I look it up and see exactly what it means? Because what you have in New York is the perfect example of that. And it's the perfect example of what you had in Dearborn, Michigan, and in other places. It's the perfect example of what you had in London, England. It's a perfect example of where you've got radical jihadis taking over major metropolitan cities and instituting the policies that they want because they put the people they want in power and get rid of anybody that obstructs it. That is the word. Look up the definition and you'll understand.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it later and get an idea on that. Although what you described actually describes the deep state very well. It is we saw a political movement, the indoctrinated left, coming from colleges, especially the highest levels of colleges like Harvard and Columbia, the Ivy Leagues, who were snapped up by many businesses and government into high-level middle management and higher levels of government and management of businesses. They hired their friends who shared the same ideologies that they had and spread them out throughout the institutions. And that's why we have newsrooms that are 80, if not 90%, all one leftist ideology, to varying degrees of extremity, but at least leftist, if not extremely leftist, in all of our newsrooms. And thus the stories come out very beneficial to the left and very antagonistic to everyone else. You see that also Lois Lerner, another great example of that. That's from the Obama administration. Everyone forgets about it. You had Lois Lerner and her colleagues. Stryker was another one who were working as part of a network of people inside the IRS to attack conservatives because they didn't like them. And that was, and they were motivated by Obama taking power. And then they activated and used their power to then try and destroy people. We've seen that in many of the businesses. Again, we saw with Biden Harris, they leveraged their power of the United States government, their power as the executive, to go to Google and YouTube and force them, they say, Google has said that they had their arm twisted, and cancel every voice in opposition on all the issues that Biden didn't want to hear anyone else's voice. So it's the jab, the untested experimental drug that we don't know what the side effects are yet. Yeah, you got to go. You can't say that. You got to go. You don't agree with Biden's international policies, running away from the Taliban, leaving all the weapons there, showing America to be as weak as possible. You said that, oh, you got to go. We got to suppress you. We got to get rid of you. Even though that triggered the environment, the political environment we have right now with the Ukraine, with Hamas, with Israel, that created a chain of events. They silenced everyone. And that's part of that deep state that allows that to happen. All these people who have infiltrated, well, I don't even want to say infiltrated. They were hired with a purpose. And they were trained with a purpose.
And what they do is they come out with a message, and the message was basically tailored to hide their true intentions so they could gain to be accepted, so that when they were deeply embedded into the flesh like a tick, they could inject their poison and destroy from within. That's pretty much what the deep state does, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Remember the word I put up on the screen?
Yep.
There's the definition of it.
Oh, I've heard about that before.
Right.
Different terms.
So this is why I say there's a Trojan horse there. Now we know who the guy's parents are. We know who the guy's parents are. They're not exactly mainstream, in their belief system.
Yeah.
I don't think this guy fell, very far off the date tree. I think this guy's right there with him, and I think he's leveraging the popular message to gain a foothold into power and authority, and using that to the ultimate destruction of New York City, New York State.
I can only
And
tell you
that's
it's working. He's
right.
going to win by 20 points.
Right, because, and you know why he's going to win by Curtis? Because Curtis Lee was weak.
No, that's not the reason why. Curtis Lee
No,
was weak. Curtis Lee was unsupported. The GOP in New York State has completely failed, not just Sliwa, but every Republican. And I know this from several counties and, of course, in New York City. They're not backing him in terms of money. They're not getting him onto programs on the mainstream news media to share his idea. Do you know how many times I have been on various programs and with news and talking with other commentators, and I mentioned, by the way, one of the big things Curtis Lee was fighting against are these lithium-ion battery plants that are being put in residential communities. And when these things burn, and they do, we have at least 40 cases of it happening across the country. When they burn, there is a 5-mile plume of toxic chemicals that are cancerous as well, that are released. And we can't put out those fires. They take at least 5 days, 5 to 13 days to go out. And no one in those communities, those residential communities, right next to apartment buildings, a block away, the one in the Bronx is a block and a half away from a elementary school. No one in that community knows about that. They don't know any details. They didn't even know what was being built.
Right. And now that you have a lot of people that do, and now that you have a lot of people in those communities that do, what are they doing about it?
They've protested about it. They're going to vote for any non-Democrat. They're going to vote for Sliwa, or there's a fifth guy in the race. I forget his name at the moment. But they're going to basically not vote Democrat. Now, is that enough people? No. Why? Because I covered it, and there's one of the local Bronx regional newspapers. They covered it, and if you're talking about ABC, NBC, CBS, both on the local news and on the national, ignored the story. They were sent it. They were invited to. There's been 17 protests, 17 sites throughout New York. Sliwa's been at all of them. Are you with? Yeah. Sliwa's, sorry, my screen went black. He's gone to all of those sites in all 5 boroughs. And the mainstream news media won't touch the story. I have personally tried to reach out to some of the news media to tell them about the story and say, hey, you cover it. You take the story and run with it. Won't touch it.
Well, look at who you're dealing with. Why would the media in New York City, where the average reporter in New York City is to the left of Joseph Stalin, why would they give a flying shit whatsoever
I'll tell you why.
about a story that could hurt their little their little emperor that they got going on down there? They're not going to cover anything like that.
Well, they would give it some.
You know how you know how you got to get them to cover it? You got to get Donald Trump to endorse the building of these friggin' battery plants.
Well, yeah. If he endorsed the battery plants, they would go out of their way to burn them down. That'd be it'd be bad. But the reason why, and this goes back to my point about the GOP, they could, if the New York GOP were to actually do something, to actually stand up for something, they could use that pressure to get a Newsmax or Fox News to cover this story. They could grease the wheels a little bit, and this is politics 101 across the nation. They could donate to either on behalf of Sliwa or give the money to Sliwa's campaign so he could buy campaign ads to talk about this on Fox News, buy advertising space on CNN, on CBS, on the mainstream news media to let people know about this. You can do that. They're not doing that for him. They're not giving him that kind of support. They don't have a team there to make the commercial and give him the money to advertise the commercial. No one's hearing about it. And that's the problem. And I guarantee you, if you had, even on local races, I know this personally from when I ran for Congress. If I had $50,000, hell, I had 5,000, and news media were, yeah, we'll put you on any channel we want as long as we get to spend all that $5,000. That's your advertising. We'll spend it all. We will put you on any of these channels that you want. Now, you may not get seen a whole lot, and you're not going to get the best spots, but we'll fill that 5,000. 5,000, you're on. They will do it if you get the support. He's not getting it. That's why Sliwa is weak. It's not because I've had 4 times, 5 times that I've interviewed him, either at events, well, always at an event. I haven't been able to sit down with him one-on-one, but 5 times I've been able to speak to him for at least 5 to 25 minutes, depending on the event. And I can tell you, he's very committed. He's not well supported. It's the GOP's fault.
Well, he's also over the years. I mean, what is he? He's known for one thing: the Guardian Angels.
Mostly, not entirely, but mostly. I mean, he's also known amongst those who are animal rights. He's an animal rights activist. He's very much involved with that. There's a few other things.
Maybe through the lens of New Yorkers, they might know a little bit more about him. But if you pull back a little bit and you go outside the first 5 boroughs and you hear about anybody talk about Curtis Sliwa, they're gonna remember Curtis Sliwa from the Jerry Springer Show. They're gonna remember Curtis Sliwa from Maury Povich. They're gonna remember Curtis Sliwa from the Jenny Jones Show. They're gonna remember they're gonna know him as the Guardian Angel guy with the red satin jacket and the beret, who used to sit in on all the second-rate talk shows on daytime TV and did a tough guy talk. The people who follow Republican or conservative politics are going to remember Curtis Sliwa calling gun owners lowlives and disparaging the Second Amendment and stuff like that, and a lot of very other conservative, right-leaning values of him being very critical of the very people that now he seeks to sort of curry favor with in order to win a mayoral race.
He's not, by the way, he's not perfect. I don't want anyone to think I'm saying that he's a perfect.
No, I'm not. Believe me, I'm not saying he's perfect either. No, believe me, far from it. But what I'm saying is that he is a guy who spent majority of his time crafting a public image for himself that now kinds of. How do you take the guy seriously?
But the thing is, that's not what's holding him back. According to the GOP, that's not the argument they have with him. It's not his past. It's not his prior positions. It's not his history as a guardian angel. They don't have a problem with those things. A couple of people have some issues with it. Yeah, okay. But that's not the argument against him. That's not why they're not giving him money. It's not why the GOP machine isn't ramping up in New York City, New York State, or anywhere else in America. That's not it. No. It's because they don't want to shake the boat. They don't want to win. They never wanted Sliwa to win. In fact, there is a massive movement in the GOP to get Eric Adams to win. They want Eric Adams. That makes no sense if for people in New York City, in New York State who follow these things. You'll probably be more familiar with it than people in other states. But this is almost like saying, and I'm going to mention the name for the 3rd time, it's kind of like saying the Republicans were trying to get Lightfoot elected in Chicago because they didn't want Brandon Johnson to win. That's what we're looking at. They would rather have Eric Adams in, not Sliwa.
Well, listen. Well, they can control Eric Adams if they got him, if they got in there,
That's the
because
big,
Eric Adams is an opportunist.
yes.
Okay,
That's the
he's
big.
an opportunist. I don't. Sleewa just doesn't. I don't see anyone could take the man seriously.
A lot of people do, and I think if you were to, I wish I could get a full interview with him, but like I had a 25-minute interview with him, and I think if you were to look at that, if you were to hear him directly, if he actually got a chance to get a big interview, I think you're, and again, not that he's the perfect Republican or conservative, but given the race, he is well and above the best choice, not because of his party, but because of his ideology, his personal views on what he wants to get done. He does have a plan. He does have some ideas that are at least marginally, if not slightly more, better than everybody else that's in the field. He's the best choice. He's just not getting any support. And by the way, he can't get. I know some people often say, "Why doesn't Donald Trump just endorse him?" Because that'll be the death knell of his campaign. New York 6-1, New York City 6-1, Democrats
Well,
that are absolutely livid against Donald Trump.
then listen. Well, Sleewa's described himself as a never Trumper. It's called Donald Trump a screwball. He's called him a nut job. He's called him a lowlife, called him a scumbag, or the whole laundry list of other silly shit that he supposedly said. So I don't necessarily see Trump. And I'm looking at this like that. I think Donald Trump would rather see the lunatic win.
No, he wants Eric Adams.
Well, he would like Eric Adams to win
rather,
because
I say his people who have spoken about the issue, to my knowledge, I haven't spoken to Trump. I wish I did. But as I've heard it filtered through, the people speaking with Trump and with the administration, they lean towards Eric Adams, not to Sliwa.
oh no. They would rather, if it was all things being fair, they would rather have Eric Adams win because, like I said, they can control Eric Adams. Eric Adams is going to be a little bit more pragmatic when it comes to the dollars and cents of it. When he's looking for a handout, he's going to know whose ass he's going to have to kiss. Okay, but I kind of think that there's a lot of people on the left, should be on the right now, that are saying, listen, how many bridges you got going into the city? How many tunnels you got going into the city? Let Mondami win. Close them all down. Let the city fend for itself, and let's see what the people voted for. Let's see them fend for themselves when this guy destroys the city, because the world is going to need a reality check. Let's see the city burn, so maybe it'll give people an idea that maybe that's not the ideology that they should be supporting. You know, they're kind of like saying, let's give New York enough rope to hang itself.
Yeah, the problem is socialists. The reason why socialism has been around for the last 110 years is every time they fail. I mean, we had the Soviet Union. It failed after 75 years. It was a great example. The CCP has been failing after 65 years, 55 years, and they're failing and having to move away from communism and socialism to be able to survive. You would think these would be indications for you. We saw just most recently, the most recent big example, Venezuela completely collapsed. We had Kansas City and their ideas completely collapse. Every time it fails, the next generation, some young person steps up with a lot of energy and charisma, and Zoran does have charisma, and they step on up and they say, this time it's completely different. This time it's going to work. And then they offer the same failed policy again. As if it's new.
You ever brush your teeth and about 5 minutes later go drink a glass of orange juice?
No.
No? All right. Well, this is a lesson I have to learn every now and then. So I wake up in the morning, I go outside, I have my cigarette, I have my coffee, I come in, I do what I got to do. I go in, I brush my teeth, I come out to have breakfast, and the first thing I do is grab myself a glass of orange juice, and I drink a glass of orange juice. It is the most disgusting glass of orange juice you could ever possibly have right after you brush your teeth. It's like drinking pure battery acid. And then I remember, don't do that, and I don't do that for about 6 months. That I'll have my orange juice before I brush my teeth so I can actually enjoy it. Socialism is brushing your teeth and then drinking your orange juice. It's a bad idea, and you have to relearn it every few months in order to prevent yourself from going full committed on it. So when New York learns what it's going to be like, believe me, you know those cars that were running around in Brooklyn a couple of years ago?
Whoa. Oh, I don't know how we lost Frank there. Too.
I don't know what the
I'm
hell that
still
was.
here.
I'm
I
here
don't know
too.
either.
I don't know. Yeah, it was still on YouTube. But anyway.
Okay. It all just disappeared. You disappeared, then I disappeared. I was like,
And
"What?"
we came back and switched seats. Well, in any event, when New York City's a cesspool and it's as bad as it's going to get, maybe people will say, maybe that wasn't such a bright friggin' idea. Maybe we should know better. And maybe it'll buy New York a couple of decades of sanity before the next Mondani, crops his ridiculous head up and trying to tell everybody that Gracie Mansion should run your grocery store and not the mom and pop family who've had it for the last 75 years on 13th Avenue. Now, what's next? Is the city going to control the restaurants? Are they going to control the pizzerias? Are they going to? What else are they going to control?
It's his way, all of it. But I don't think that's actually going to happen because
no, but everything will have to be halal friendly.
I don't think even that's going to happen because most of those policies would actually require the governor to actually okay it. Because New York City, unlike most cities, like if you go to Chicago, if you go to LA, they're all in one county, which gives the mayor a lot of power in that county, gives them a lot of power over that city. New York City's 6 counties, and so because New York City is so many different counties, that shifts the power from the mayor for a lot of these sweeping issues and moves it to the governor. So depending on what the governor's thinking at any given moment gives the mayor more or less power at any given time. So no, I'm sure he wants to do a lot of things like go after the restaurants. He won't be able to. He may want to go after, try to privatize a lot of New York's businesses. He won't be allowed to unless
No, he won't be able to privatize them, but he's going to be able to do a hell of a good job shutting them down.
That part he could probably do, yes.
Yeah. You don't have to take something over in order to destroy it. You can just shut it down. And if you've got the power of Gracie Mansion, you've got the power of the zoning commission, you got this power of the planning board, you got the power of compliance, you got Board of Health, you've got everything that reports to Gracie Mansion you're in control of. And believe me when I tell you that guy is going to utilize them all to the best of his ability.
No, I agree.
And anybody who's living in New York City, and I'm saying to this, Mike, because I love you, please get the hell out of there while you can. Tell your family, get the hell out. If you can get out of New York City, get out. Get the hell out of there and don't ever return. It's going to be hell. And it's going to be hell very soon. Yeah,
it's going to be bad, but I'm a Bronx boy. I'll be all right. And my family will be fine. We can.
Well, isn't Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Isn't she from the Bronx too?
Not really. No.
I know.
And her district really isn't in the Bronx. It's in Queens. She's the New York 14th. I have someone just as useless, but not as popular. Richie Torres. He's the New York 15th district, a Democrat. Completely useless. If I walk down the street with him, no one will know who he is. No one will ask him a question. No one will care. They wouldn't be able to pick him out in the crowd. They have no idea who he is. And he's useless. Useless. But, he's a Democrat and he thinks he's going to be governor. Not going to happen. But he thinks he is. We'll see. We got about half an hour left.
Well, I'm thinking we only got about a few minutes left. I've been up since 3 a.m. and I am dead shot in the ass. I am so exhausted right now.
Okay.
Well, we can give it another few minutes. I'll step outside with my computer and I'll light myself a cigarette, try and see if I can't avoid getting eaten by the mosquitoes for a few minutes.
All right. I just wanted to get your thoughts real quick. We've talked about the censorship. I think we covered that pretty well. We've talked a little bit about New York politics and how that. And by the way, that's important, folks, because whatever happens in New York is going to happen in your city at some point. It may be delayed by a year or 2 or 5. So even if you're in, middle of Rumble in Iowa, don't think it's not going to happen to you. It's just not happening to you now. But it will. If it works in New York, if they're able to do it in New York, someone's going to try it in your small little town of 500 people. It's just not today. It'll happen within 5 years. But we talked a little bit about, we talked about Mandami and the socialist movement and how that's becoming very big. But obviously, everyone's been talking about Kimmel. Everyone's been talking about Kirk. Not as many people have talked about Gavin Newsom and his encouragement. Very few are talking about the fact that an ABC, I don't know if you heard about this, that an ABC affiliate, ABC 10, News Channel 10, or excuse me, ABC 10, was shot up. That a leftist did a drive-by shooting, then drove back, got out the car, went into the lobby and started shooting at people in the lobby. Pure leftist. And then there's Today, Dallas, which everyone has somewhat talked about. And again, they tried to say, no, he's not a leftist. Yes, he is. This is another leftist. Just like they're now trying to say that Charlie Kirk's killer he has no political affiliation. Yes, he does.
He was just someone who wasn't loved and was misunderstood and needed guidance.
Yeah, that's the whole empathy bull. It's such bull. That's such a manipulation. But that whole scenario, so we've got a week and a half. We didn't speak all the way through all of that. But we had about a good solid week and a half here where we've had all of these things happen back to back. My greatest fear of it all is at the end of the day, it's told me very clearly, we are not at the end of the line on this. This is building up. It's going to get worse. There will be more leftists that will go out and do extreme violence because they've been indoctrinated to do so.
Right. They've been indoctrinated, and I've been saying for months and months and months and months, the more steam that Trump picks up, the more accomplishment Trump hits, the better things get under Trump, the less likely the left is to regain a modicum of power in the grand halls of Washington, D.C., that they're going to find themselves backed further and further into a corner. The more red the country gets, and the more into the corner they get, the more dangerous and violent they're going to become, because the left has already spent an entire generation dehumanizing anybody who does not think like them and dehumanizing pretty much everybody. If you are not somebody who toes their line, you have no right to live. I mean, we went to the point of, just look from the standpoint of abortion to the point where it was rare. It had to be rare. That was it had to be rare. For very rare circumstances.
Extreme and rare. Yeah.
Extremely rare. To abortion on demand, to now it's gone to, well, the new line is until the life is viable without the mother.
Yeah.
What that means is that means up until you get a job. Until you get a job and you're out of the house, your mother has got the right to abort you. That's as extreme as it's gotten. Because if you ask them, infanticide is now perfectly acceptable among 30% of the left.
Former Governor Northam's had
Right?
said that
It's
before he reversed his position once the
right.
backlash hit him. Yeah,
Infanticide is now fine. Is now fine. They have dehumanized human life to the point where if it's okay to kill your own child because you don't want to care for them anymore, then it's okay for you to kill somebody else's child, regardless of how old they are, because they have a different point of view than you. That's where we've become. We've gotten to the point, and you've got Keith Olbermann, this fucking lunatic, this pile of shit, out there saying that Scott Jennings is you're next, MFA.
Yeah, and literally meant it as a threat. And then deleted that and put up something else completely different, put up a different tweet to try and hide from what he said initially so no one would know.
Yeah.
Except he was caught. Yes.
They have spent so much time. They have spent so much time making human life worthless that it's acceptable to kill people that have a different opinion. And they are actively, I mean, in the last Trump administration, I watched the surgence of certain groups on the left that were radical Antifa that were arming themselves and saying that they were going to wait to bring the war, the only thing that stopped them in so much in their progression was the rigged election of 2020. You know, they took a step back. They said, we got rid of Trump. We don't have to do nothing. But now we're 9 months in. Now we're 9 months in, and all the radicals that were born into the political realm 8 years ago are now of age. They're now of age, and they see glory. They see, because now they're gonna give their life for a cause. They're going to give a life for a cause because they don't value anyone else's life. They sure as hell don't value their own. They don't even value their own lives because they don't even know who they are. They don't recognize themselves as human. They don't recognize themselves as who they were born as. They recognize themselves as an entirely different thing. They're no longer citizens of the country. They're sovereign. They're not human. They're furries. They're nuts. They're freaking nuts. And what they see in us is an obstacle to their utopia. And our lives have no value to them. So they don't care if they kill people anymore. They don't care. For them, they think it's a higher calling. They think it's a higher calling. And even though this is a small group of radicals in this country, they're becoming more emboldened and they're becoming more and more dangerous every single day. I had a call at work.
They're not a small group, but go on.
Right.
They're not a small group anymore.
39. Not anymore.
Not small.
But I had a call at work the other day. I had a woman call me. She didn't call me specifically. She called my business looking for advice. She didn't want to get into specifics, but she's got a 17-year-old nephew who has extreme emotional and psychological problems. But he's never been adjudicated by a criminal court or a family court or any judge or anything else like that. And she believes that he's extremely dangerous. What can she do? Because all he talks about is saying on his 18th birthday, he's going to go buy a gun because he can buy a rifle or a shotgun at age 18. Now, you know me, I'm Mr. Second Amendment guy. I'm like, red flag laws, no this, no that, no this, no that. I'm also the guy who says I don't want dangerous people having guns. But how do you merge the two of them into a cohesive arrangement where you're not taking away somebody's rights, but you're also not jeopardizing the public at large. This is a very, very delicate and very difficult thing to do. And I told her, I said, listen, come into the store, we'll sit down and we'll talk. We'll get some information. I'll put you in touch with a couple of different people, a couple of different groups, and we'll see what we can do for you. I haven't heard back.
Essentially, one of the answers is bring in others so they can either evaluate the situation, maybe reading or not. Or
I mean, I told her, I said, I would be willing to sit and talk with this person and get a firsthand sense. As you want, if the kid's going to be so hell bent on buying a gun, bring him to me, because I make the decision as to whether or not you get the gun, not the law, not the law. I, as a representative of the company that I work for, have the right to deny you the purchase of a firearm because it's a private entity. It's a private entity selling you the gun. Now, this is what has been told to me by the management of the facility. Now, even though I'm somebody who, believe me, if you hear the arguments that go on inside that building, you know I'm not exactly a corporate compliance guy. All right?
Right.
I have a whole list of problems I got with that shit. But I don't want to see somebody who's dangerous getting a hold of a gun. But there's only so much you can do without being firsthand on it. This person has got to be adjudicated legally through the proper steps to be able to be determined that that person is not someone who should have a firearm. And I'm not talking about red flag laws where somebody just makes a complaint. I'm talking about
actual
this evaluation has got to be made. A judge or a magistrate or whatever it is going to have to make a determination based on findings of court-appointed people, and it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. Unless this person commits an act of violence that immediately restricts that person from buying a firearm, there's very little I can do other than refusing the sale.
Right.
But I can't control if he goes someplace else.
Right.
Okay, I can't control if he goes someplace else. This is somebody who, when talking to this woman, took the proactive step of trying to contact somebody to find out what can we do. What can we do?
That's a good thing.
Which is more than what 99% of these crazy people that go out shooting people, what their families have done.
True. They just
most of them, they lock little Timmy down in the basement so he could play his World of Warcraft or wherever the hell he's playing down there, blowing shit up and killing people until and he sits there, watching Don Lemon on the internet or whatever the hell he's doing.
Well, I'd be more in line with
the Don Lemon,
the Don Lemon, the news media reinforcing, not the video games really. I mean, we've had video games, we've had cartoons. That's not really it. They've changed. They don't help the situation, but I don't think they're a motivator.
Whatever the things that are influencing these people to try and do the things that they're doing, to try and dehumanize people, to take away the value of human life, to try and instill this political ideology into them that it's okay to kill people that have a different point of view from you. Whatever it is, there's a lot of people that are neglecting to notice that they have someone in their family who's subjected to this, or who is fallen prey to this kind of thing. And believe me, you got Maxine Waters saying, I will go to the White House tonight and I will take him out. What do you mean take him out? What do you mean you're going to take him out? You take him out for what?
You're
going to take him to coffee? You're going to take him to court? What are you going to take him over to Waffle House? Where are you going to take him out, Maxine? What are you going to take him out? You got Joe. He's going to take him behind the gym and beat the crap out of him. This one says, "Oh, you got to put a bullet in Donald Trump to stop him." The left has been using this, and I hate the word rhetoric because it reminds me of Nancy Pelosi because she was just rhetoric, like friggin' Wicked Witch of the West. I hate that woman, but they use these terms over and over and over again, and then they turn around and they say, no, it's not us. We're not the ones doing it. Yes, it is.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, it is. You have been inciting.
300% more likely to commit political violence is the left versus the right.
They have been inciting people to violence for years and years and years. And then when it turns out that a bunch of the ones from their side of the net decide that they're going to commit these acts, the first thing they go, oh, well, let's not talk about their political ideology. We don't know if it was this, if it was that. But believe me, if you got a guy who commits a mass shooting whose great uncle 4 states over has a Trump bumper sticker on, clearly the guy was MAGA. Clearly, the guy was MAGA. Forget about the purple and pink hair and the fact that he lopped his dick off 6 months ago. Forget the fact that he's got a fur tail sticking out of his a-hole and he's running around himself with a freaking pink pussy hat on his head. No, he's obviously MAGA. Because Uncle Bocephus in Arkansas, twice removed from the great grandmother's side of the family, from before the War of Northern Aggression, has got a MAGA sticker on the car. So clearly he's one of them.
That's clearly what they would like you to believe, yeah. That's exactly what we saw within the last week and a half, 2 weeks. That's exactly the argument they made. Is but the family is conservative. That has nothing to do with him. Oh, well, of course it does. But they changed. How many versions have they come up with the excuse? Again, it's always just to deflect from he was indoctrinated, and that indoctrination ultimately always says that if someone says something you don't like, that's a microaggression. Microaggressions are violence. Right. And so since someone has been violent to you, you can respond with ultimate violence. That is the ideology of the left. That's why we're seeing these events.
Words are violence. Words are violence. Words are violence. They kept saying this. They keep saying it over and over and over and over and over and over again. So when words are violence and you equate to your feelings to being hurt, to being punched in the face, to being assaulted, to being, attacked physically, when it's the moral equivalent for me to say to somebody, I disagree with your position, is exactly the same thing as if I took a pair of brass knuckles and I broke your jaw with it. All right. You using both of those things as a moral equivalency, then violence committed against me or anybody else is justified. That's how they look at it. And the funny thing is, I will hear these people on the left turn around and talk about me, who is 9th generation American on one side of my family, 2nd generation American on my other side of the family. I had family that came here in the early 1900s, and I had family that came here in the 1700s, and I had family that came here in the 1800s. So I've had a lot of family here, and I've had family that came here specifically to fight in the Civil War. Mm-hmm. I have a great uncle that was tortured to death and starved to death and died in Andersonville Penitentiary.
Oh, that was
because he came from Europe and fought for the North and was captured and was basically executed. But my family, who paid that price, I have to be responsible for reparations because of this, because the lack of melanin in my skin. I am somehow responsible for the deeds that other people did. Other people did. I'm responsible for now, even though my family has been abolitionist since the dawning of my family in this country. All right, doesn't matter. I'm responsible for the actions of somebody else. Mm-hmm. But when you tell the left today, look at what you have been doing for the last 20 years in American politics and how you have demoralized our site more, and you have dehumanized us, and you have encouraged people to do these things. How is it that you're not responsible for what your people are doing? We're not responsible. Well, you know what? If the left is not responsible for the messaging that has driven these people to commit the crimes like killing Charlie Kirk, a guy who stood there with a microphone in his hand and debated people. That's all the man did. Debated people. You're not responsible for that. Then don't you dare tell me I owe anybody anything because of what somebody not even related to me did 300 years ago.
That is a very good argument. And a lot of people haven't had a chance to say anything like that. And because the left doesn't want people to, again, this is why they're censoring us. because they don't have an answer to that argument, and that's why they killed Charlie Kirk. That's why they're attacking conservatives, both physically and online, is because they don't have. Ultimately, when we have these conversations, the left will be hit with something like you just said. They have no answer for that. There is no comeback in their book for that, other than, well, you're just a racist. You're just a sexist. You're just
I must
and
say,
a
yeah.
phobe. And that's supposed to end the discussion.
All right. All right.
And
Well,
that's
number one, as far as phobe and phobia, there's only two men on that I know of. There's only two men on this on that I know of that I have actually had any fear of. One is dead, the other is God. I'm not afraid of a single human being on this planet. There's nobody on this planet that makes me afraid. I am not afraid of anyone. I am not afraid of anything. Nobody can cast fear into me. The only thing I fear in this world is loss. I fear the loss of my loved ones. I feel the loss of my country. I fear the loss of things that I care about. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of losing things. But as far as somebody saying, "Oh, you're homophobic," what? Why? What makes you think I'm afraid of somebody because of the choices that they make or because of the lifestyle they want to lead? I'm not afraid of anybody. It doesn't make me afraid. I'm not afraid of anybody. What are you kidding me? I just don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. But I'm the first one back to come up to bat for the rights for these people. For all people, for every people. I want everybody to have their rights, regardless of where they come from, what they believe in, or anything else. I'm not afraid of anybody. And as far as an ist goes, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. I told this story a bunch of times. When I was a little kid, my father took me to work every now and then because my mother and him would have conflicting shifts. And I was the only 5, 6, 7-year-old kid that used to hang out in a police station all day long after, on a Saturday. Yeah. Because my parents had no place to keep me. All right. I went to work with my father one day, and two officers from the 1st Police Precinct, one black, one white, they were gunned down in Lower Manhattan. And my father, and this was after the response was done, because my father's shift started after crime scene was there and everything else. My father took me in the police car down to where these two officers got killed, and they got killed on a street corner. And the bodies had already been gone, were gone and everything else like that. And all you saw was two pools of blood on a street corner. And both pools of blood went down and they merged together and went down into a storm drain on a corner.
Right.
And my father says to me, and I'm like 6 or 7 years old at the time. And I knew both of these cops. I knew both of these cops because they were 1st Precinct cops. All right. I knew both of them. I knew every cop in the precinct when I was a kid. I knew every one of them because I spent almost every weekend there when my father was on duty, when he had the desk. My father said, I can't recall the officers' names because this is 45 years ago, but I do remember my father pointing out and saying whose blood was whose. And the lesson he was, one officer was black and one officer was white. My father pointed to the blood and then basically saying which of those blood came from the black officer and which blood came from the white officer. There's no difference.
Right.
There's no difference because as a child, I didn't know a difference between one from another. And the blood is exactly the same.
Yeah.
The blood is exactly the same. I haven't had any need to have any sort of hatred or animosity towards any racial group, regardless of where they are or what they come from. My father's partner on the job, his name was Benjamin Solomon. He was a Jamaican police officer. My father was best man at his wedding when I was 10 years old. My father was best man at his wedding, and my mother, my father, and myself were at the wedding, and it was the most outrageously unruly wedding you'd ever want to be at. It was crazy. It was crazy, but I never remember seeing my parents have a better time, all right? And we were probably 3 of the only white people there, other than the other cops from the 1st Precinct, that were there. There was no such concern. There was no such nothing. The only thing that anybody was concerned with was that everybody was a family. regardless of what color anybody was, they were a family. They served together, they ate together, they fought together. That's how they lived. That's
Right.
how they lived. And this is back in the 70s, for God's sake, when we were supposed to be at a very tension-filled time in American history as far as race concerned, coming out of the 60s and into the 70s, right?
Racial. It was. It definitely was.
And I have people on the left that are going to try and paint me as an ist. As an ist. The most important people in my life that I've ever known in my life have all been women. The strongest people in my life have all been women. I have nothing but respect for women and what they do and what they can accomplish. And I tell them, and every day at work, when women come into the store and they want to buy a gun, I remind them that there's nothing that they can't do that a man can do as far as being in the firearm community. People say, oh, this guy says, well, I need this gun, or I need that, or I can't handle this, or I can't handle that. I'm like, no, you're a lot stronger than you think you are. You just need the training.
Yeah.
You need the training, you need the confidence, and you can do everything that any man can do. There's nothing you can't do. So there's none of this bullshit that I subscribe to, that I have to be an ist or a phobe for anybody. Screw you. You don't walk in my shoes. You don't speak my language. You don't breathe the air that I breathe. No, you ain't putting labels on me.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's their label to try and shut us down. And more importantly, it's not even for us. It's a label. Once they've labeled you, all of their friends and the people with their ideology who went through the same indoctrination, they now all go and they automatically, it's like a light switch. Oh, this person's been labeled by one of the people with my ideology. Switch off. Okay, I don't have to listen to anything. They're going to now dismiss, and that's what the left loves to do. They dismiss everything. Why? Oh, you've been labeled. You've been labeled, so therefore nothing else matters. But that doesn't mean, but that's not how it works in the real world. That's not relevant. Just because, someone said, oh,
okay,
the person's an ist, it's crazy. Go ahead.
I got to bring my dogs back in. We're mosquitoes out here. I don't understand. It's supposed to be the second day of fall. These mosquitoes are all supposed to be dead. Go in the house.
They like hanging out with you, Frank. You're tasty.
It's funny. Before I became a diabetic, mosquitoes would have nothing to do with me. I would watch a mosquito land on my arm, bite me, and die. Now, it's like I walk outside and it's the friggin' dinner bell.
Diabetes changes your blood.
Yeah, well, my mother always said I was too sweet for my own good. he's such a sweetheart. No, my mother called me. My mother's pet name for me was asshole. So,
but all right. But I know we hadn't had a chance to talk together any of that. So I just wanted to hear your voice. I know I've been screaming. I don't know if you've seen my coverage. I've been going crazy about a bunch of this stuff. It's driving me nuts. But I wanted to. We haven't had a chance to talk.
Well, what amazes me more than anything is all in the last couple of weeks is that with that asshole Jimmy Kimmel, they're blaming Donald Trump for Jimmy's show getting canned, and they're coming back.
Yeah,
he had absolutely nothing, and the fact that everybody on the left rallied around this talentless prick, okay, who all you have to do is watch episodes of the Man Show, and then you try and justify his behavior.
Yeah, but Corolla carried that. But it wasn't about that. It's not about talent. It's the answer to everything on the left at the moment for the last decade is Orange Man bad. If there's a problem, Orange Man bad. Somehow it all circles back to Orange Man bad.
But Orange Man was the one whose account was taken off Twitter. Orange Man is the one whose account was taken off YouTube. Orange Man is the one that you couldn't get Google searches on unless it was negative. It was Roseanne who got fired from a show that she created. Mm-hmm. Because the president of the United States called Bob Iger.
Yes.
Right.
And remember, and we know on the same day that they're trying to say, or Jimmy Kimmel saying it was Trump's fault. It was Trump. There's no record, no phone calls, no evidence, no insiders, no leaks, and this is Trump. They love to try and embarrass Trump. There's no source anyone can find other than Jimmy Kimmel's feelings that says that Trump was involved. But we do know there is an absolute fact that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the Biden administration, was doing what they're accusing Trump of, and the media hid that for 4 years. He was doing it, and they hid it.
Well,
Trump, they're blaming him for something, and there is absolutely zero evidence. Zero evidence.
Yeah, and then you got which one of the ones that came out? Was it Ocasio-Cortez called Donald Trump a communist and then endorsed Mandami?
No, that was Kamala, and
Kamala.
She didn't endorse. Kamala Harris just had her first interview. She's still as dumb as she always was. She's still talking a word salad. She was confronted. She called Trump a communist, and then she called him an emperor, which if you're a communist dictator, you can't be a emperor. The governmental styles clash. Doesn't make sense. So she can't keep her metaphor, her illusion. She can't keep it together from one sentence to the next. And in terms of Mandami, she didn't endorse him. She said, he's the Democrat and I support the Democrat. And she was asked again, so do you support Mandami? He's the Democrat and I support Democrats.
Wow.
So that's an endorsement without endorsing.
Well, regardless, she was the old, and the funny thing is, they call us homophobic, but she didn't want booty juice on her ticket because, well,
he was too gay.
A black woman and a gay man would have been too risky. Too risky for what, Kamala? Too risky for what? Are you trying to say that the Democrats in your own party would not have voted for a black woman and a gay man? Well, what are you trying to say about the Democrats?
Yes. What does it say about
Democrats? That's what you're saying about the Democrats. That's right. They're racist homophobes that only use blacks and gays as a tool at the means of an end. They have no interest in actually doing anything to support the gays or the black community, only using them for tools to get votes. God forbid you put them on the same ticket, right, Kamala? You're right, because you weren't worried about getting the Republican votes because you weren't going to get them anyway. So whose votes were you worried about? You were worried about solidifying the Democrat votes, but you admitted that the Democrats would not vote for a ticket consisting of a black woman, which you're not really black, we all know that, and a gay man, but we know that he's gay because we've seen the photos. But that's beside the point. That's what you were admitting. You were admitting that the Democrats are racist homophobes. Yes, that's what you admitted.
That's the only way to take. That's the only thing to take away from that is because he's qualified, and she made it very clear he's qualified, and he's not a bad guy. She says that too. He's not a bad person. I like him. He's a good friend. So those aren't reasons. You can't say it's a bad relationship with him where you personally have conflict with him on various issues. That's not the problem. The only problem is Democrats are racist or they have a phobia against, they have problems with black women and gay men.
They won't vote for a black man, a black woman, or a gay man. That's what you're trying to say, Kamala. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Because, well, who knows, Kamala? Maybe next time around you and little Petey over there, the two of you supremely qualified candidates can both run for office again and see what happens.
The last time they lost. Both of them lost. The Democrats rejected both of them in March.
Well, let's not forget that when Kamala first ran for president against Biden the first time in 2019, she was the first person out of the race.
Yes, she was.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was the first person out of the race. Now, let's also remember that when Obama first ran for president, and Biden was one of the candidates, he was the first one out of the race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So Biden, the first one out of the race, got 81 million votes. And then Kamala, the first one out of the race, she got 74 million votes.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
Vote blue no matter who. That's the saying. And there's a reason for it, because you can't qualify.
Wait, Dal, you listened to that idiot Bob Joseph?
Yeah, I know. I saw that. It's in the chat, folks. There's a
All
comment.
right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, Bob Joseph is a hack reporter on, was it WBNG?
No, WBNF, WNBF.
WNBF radio out of Binghamton, New York. Bob Joseph is, it doesn't matter what policy works, he's against it.
Well, no. If it's a Trump policy or a Republican policy, he's against it.
Like I said, if a policy works, he's against it, because there's no Democrat policy that does work, but those are the ones that he's for. So it's Bob Joseph is the biggest hack in media. He makes Keith Olbermann look reputable.
He doesn't curse as much as Olbermann on the radio,
because he's on public airways. When you get him on his channel by himself, he's a foul-mouthed piece of crap. How that guy even has a job is beyond me. I've spoken to him a dozen times on the radio. I always make him look like an idiot, and then he cuts me off. He gets me off the show.
Oh, he got pissed at me. It's funny. I used to be on his show, and he was fine to have me on. I ran for office, then he hated my guts. He completely turned around on me, and like I was constantly wrong. He forgot. A lot of people don't know. I'm known by my legal federal alias. Yes, I have a legal federal alias. It's Michael Voss, which I go by on radio and everything. When I ran for election, I had to let people know that I had a legal alias, and my last name is Vasquez. Now it's publicly available. I don't care. So I go either by Voss or Vasquez. Now, that took 15 seconds to understand. His personality had a pseudonym as a stockbroker, Voss, registered with the federal government. I ran for Congress, had to explain it, 15 seconds. He suddenly decided that even though he had known me for years, had been at events with me side by side, he knew I had a federal alias. He knew what my real last name was before I announced it to the public. He suddenly pretended, I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about you. Michael, what? I don't know if I can trust you. We've been doing interviews for a couple of years. We've been at events, news events, covering the same news event as news media. You've met me. You know who I am. Oh, I don't know if I can trust you. He lied to the public. He's done that a lot. I've caught him a lot of times.
He's just a piece of crap, that guy. All right, listen, folks. Listen, I'm gonna have to call it a wrap for the show. We actually have a 2-hour limit. We're 8 minutes and 5 seconds beyond it. But before we leave tonight, I just want to leave you with this. Who was it? Ask not for whom the bell tolls; it tolls for thee. Who was that? Who said that?
That's not who. Shakespeare.
Ask not for who the bell tolls; it tolls for thee. That was John Donne. Your daily. No man is an island entire of itself. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the man. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. It was as well as whatever the hell it is. It's I can't read the words on there. I just want to leave you with one thing. When you ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Well, guess what? The bell is tolling for this piece of shit.
Yeah. Comey, not one of my favorite people.
Yeah, James Comey in the next couple of days, all 6'6" or whatever the hell tall that is. Who the hell knew the shit? Yeah, who the hell knew the shit piled up that high? That son of a bitch is going to be getting indicted in the next couple of days. And I'm hoping that he is the first of many a domino that are going to fall. Because all you leftists to put your faith in a guy like Comey, a guy like him, remember, you know why they're going after him first? Because he's the weasel. He's the weasel that's good. He's going to crack under pressure. He's going to crack under pressure. He's going to spill the beans because he knows where the bodies are buried, folks. That's right. James Comey, he ain't going to go to, he's still young enough where he's got a life outside that he wants to cash in on, including the proceeds from the book that he just wrote. So a lot of the other people who were on that hit list, yep, that's the guy right there.
He'll give evidence. He'll give state evidence on them.
Absolutely. I want you to look at that. I want you to look at that face, you miscreants. I want you to look at that face. That's the face that's going to be testifying against you at your own trial soon enough. Guarantee. It's not for who the bell tolls, my friend. It tolls for thee.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be. I've been waiting for that. I'm waiting for that for a long time. I'm hoping that they didn't squeeze in one of these little low-level, third-tier, second secretary to the assistant kind of indictments like they did the last time around. This time they're going for the big fish.
They need to. They need to.
Well, what is it? Clapper? Was it Clapper is already claiming that he's got the... Which one is already claiming that he's got the... what do you call it? Alzheimer's disease?
Oh, I didn't hear about that. That would have been probably Clapper or God, what's the other one? There's another one. Brennan. I think you're thinking of Brennan.
Yeah, Brennan. Brennan is saying that he's got Alzheimer's. He can't remember nothing.
Yeah. Lie.
So, hey, you remember the last time we were there? And I said, I guarantee you that when you start seeing indictments coming around, you're going to start seeing a lot of them starting to walk around like Jimmy the Chin Gigante.
Yeah. You did say that.
I said it
on the show. We argued over that, by the way. Yeah. And I said no. You did say that. And it seems Dallas saying he thinks it's Robert Mueller, but okay.
Is it Mueller? Bob Mueller.
I thought it was
Bob Mueller says he has Alzheimer's disease.
Okay. I thought it was Brennan, but maybe it's both. Who knows? They're dodging. The big point is they're dodging.
Well, the House Oversight Committee has withdrawn a subpoena for Robert Mueller. This was on August 30th. He says he's battling Parkinson's. Mueller says he has Parkinson's, and another one now is saying that he's got Alzheimer's. So yeah, they're all taking a cue from Jimmy the Chin Gigante.
Yeah, they're trying to get out.
And for those who don't know who Jimmy the Chin Gigante was, Jimmy the Chin Gigante was one of the heads of the 5 New York City crime families. And they had this guy dead to rights on over 100 motor murders. They had him on RICO. They had him on everything you could possibly have him on. The guy walked around in Little Italy for years, walking around in fluffy slippers and a bathrobe and his stupid hat on, always walking around mumbling to himself. And then when he walked inside his social club, it was back to normal. But he was trying to convince the district attorney's office in New York City that he had dementia. But eventually they came out with, he's drooling he's sitting in a stool outside on the sidewalk, drooling into his cup of espresso, and like falling over and slumped over. And then 10 minutes later, they got him on audio recording going, it was a pretty good act. So Yeah, so you watch what happens. You're gonna see a lot of Jimmy the Chin happening soon. Fucking funny.
Yeah.
All right, listen, ladies and gents, we really appreciate you coming in for this evening of the this week at the range. This week on the range. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Johnson. This is Michael Vasquez, my illustrious co-host, the Dragon of New York, New York's only true, honest to God, independent journalist. Tells it like it is, whether the right is wrong or the left is wrong, usually the left. And for those of you who are in attendance this evening, thank you very much. God bless you. We appreciate you being here tonight. We appreciate the lively chats and conversation. We'll catch you guys again, same bat time, same bat channel next week at 8 p.m. Until then, you guys will be safe and shoot straight. Vas, take us out. Give us a plug on your show.
Oh God, now you got me on. Put me on the spot. Hey, everyone, I would just want everyone to be well, be safe, be aware of what's going on around you, because there's a lot of stupid people out there. You want to check out the No Sound Bites Allowed? Come in every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've been doing it for 8 years. I've been doing political commentary for 20 years. No Sound Bites Allowed has been doing it for 8 years. Every Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on in. Check out what we're doing there. And always, always maintain all of your rights, because if you're not looking out for you, the government certainly won't. How's that?
Absolutely. All right, kids. Have a great night. Be safe. Love you guys.